Welcome everyone to Live with
Trevor
and Nikki show here on www.thatchannel.com. Thanks for tuning in. And by the way, we've got a studio audience. How you doing out there in Studio Land? Let's make some noise.
All right.
It's an exciting day because it's our very first show.
It
and
is.
We've got a lot to talk about. Trevor, let's tell everyone why we're here. I mean, people have been asking me, Nikki, what's the show about? And I just said, you know what, just watch.
Well, you know what?
What is the show about?
Let me get everybody the short version.
Okay.
How you and I actually, how we actually met. Nikki, through some of my artists that we've worked with, as most people know, I'm a record producer and own a label. So we, a lot of the artists were talking about this lady. You gotta meet Nikki Clark. And Nikki, of course, as we all now know, is a TV host and also a jewelry designer. So. It started off there, and then once we actually got together and we started talking, we had so many things in common.
Absolutely.
So, you know, from the marketing, promotion, and just caring about education and helping
our passion
artists.
for music.
And helping the artists.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's how we met, right?
Yeah.
Good.
And it's been a TV marriage since.
Wifey and hubby.
Wifey and hubby team, absolutely. So we've got some really interesting topics to talk about. Our Hot Topics segment. And what's hot is G98.7
That's
FM.
right.
Just launched October 3rd, and that is officially the only Black and Caribbean radio station in Toronto. Is that right?
That's right. And we were at the press conference on Monday.
Yeah.
So great conference, and it was actually great to go to another urban radio station opening approved by the CRTC.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, some key things for me was simply this. I mean, Fitzroy Gordon, who most people know he's been around for 20 years. He's been in the sports business, a broadcaster, and more importantly, he's been on Chin. But what was real interesting for me, and what sort of really captured and was inspiring, was the fact that he had applied 3 times for this license, and over 10 years, mortgaged his house. Between all of that, lost his family. And moved
lost
in with
some
his
friends,
account.
and
Lost his friends and all that good stuff. But here we are. You know, it was a beautiful day on Monday, and we were there for the press conference. And you know, congratulations to G98.7.
Absolutely. It was a very triumphant day, and I felt very proud and honored to be there with so many esteemed people in the audience. But what I found really interesting, though, and I, again, congratulations to the A-team, he calls them, 2 of the new members were actually ex-Flow staff members.
That's right. Wayne Williams was one of them. And
yeah.
Anybody who remembers Wayne Williams, Wayne was at a station called Energy 108 back in the day, and was the music director. And now, and after that, what most of us know, we remember him back at Flow 93.5,
right.
where he spent 6 years. So good to have him on board with the new station.
Absolutely.
And the other person that we all know of is a lady by one of my close friends, is Aisha Wickham.
Yes.
And Aisha is now on board as director and
of communications.
Yeah. And we've got Joan Pierre, who you also know.
Yes, absolutely.
And she's doing administration.
Yeah.
So we wish them luck. And I've actually been tuning in this week. I don't know about you, but listening to what's going on and what kind of music they're playing. And if anybody remembers the old WBLK back in the day, this is a combination of the urban meets the reggae, meets the soca, meets the hip hop.
Oh, I love
so it's
it.
a real nice feel.
Yeah, I love the old school jams. I get right into it. But one of the things I did observe is that there's not a whole lot of Canadian content. I think the mandate was 10% Canadian content. Is that right? How do you feel about that? Artists, how do you feel about that?
Anyone in the audience? Well, I think I'm just going to actually talk to the audience here. Here in Canada, in case most of you aren't aware, is that Canadian stations have to play 33 1/3 Canadian content. What we heard on Monday was that they're playing 10% content. So I think there's a bit of a problem. We may have to get somebody from the station to come in on our show and explain that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is that our hip-hop artists, reggae, soca, they need an outlet. And unfortunately, right now, we thought that the other station was going to be the outlet. So here we go again. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. But we wish them the best of luck.
Absolutely.
And I would love to have them back on the show and talk about what we just mentioned.
Sounds good to me.
How that works out. August 22nd, the untimely demise of Jack Layton, NDP leader. A lot of people still reacting, and especially today being election day. How do you
Big
think
day.
his passing is going to affect the NDP?
Well, you know, there's a couple of things here. I mean, one, for those that have been following it, I mean, from an NDP's point of view, sometimes a passing brings the whole community together, which we saw here in Toronto and nationally across the country. I guess the next thing is who's actually going to step up and step into those shoes. I mean, the man was such a powerhouse in his own right.
Absolutely.
And you know, it was interesting. We started off with one of the Parachute Club songs there,
Yeah.
and Lorraine Sugata was very close to Jack. In fact, they became very close friends. And that song, "Rise Up, Rise Up," was actually played at his funeral when he passed away.
Absolutely. And you're involved with the Parachute Club at some point.
Yes, Parachute Club was one of our bands. I was A&R for a label called Current Records. Back in the day, we had Molly Johnson, Altamoda, who else would you remember? Martha and the Muffins, and of course, Parachute Club. If most of you aren't aware of it, Parachute Club was one of those bands that, for any of those who remember the Bamboo Club back in the day,
Yes.
well, they were actually found there, and the rest is history.
Okay. Well, today is election day, and I
Yes,
have
it
to
is.
go and make my vote before the polls close. But what about you? Did you vote?
I'm working on that.
You're working on that?
I'm working on that. I haven't
Okay.
quite got there yet. I haven't figured out who we're doing it.
Okay. All right. And the next topic is Michael Jackson trials.
Yes.
Still
yes.
going on. It's set to be going on for about 5 weeks. Dr. Conrad Murray is in the hot seat.
He really is. I mean, I followed a bit of this. I haven't been following too much of it, but you know, talking about Michael, I met Michael. And this is going way back, but back in the day when they were on the Victory Tour, and I had a chance to meet Michael. Highly intelligent gentleman. The brothers, the family's been in show business, as we all know, for a good 20, 25 years. But I think what was interesting to note was most people, when you talk about Michael and you hear that tone, that high-pitched voice of his, well, actually, when you actually meet him, he's quite the businessman. And that's what a lot of people didn't know.
He's very shrewd.
A lot of money away to charities, started
Yeah.
a lot of charities, supported a lot of colleges and universities, and you know, it was unfortunate what happened to him back in the early 90s, but hopefully people can get past that. And hey, I mean, today, if you think about his records, what's going on, I mean, he's still blowing the roof on publishing, so hey.
Yeah. Well, the defense lawyers that Dr. Conrad Murray hired, they're saying that Michael willingly gave himself the lethal doses of the drug, propofol, I believe. Now, I'm going to react, and I just can't believe that he would willingly do something that.
I'm with you on that.
to harm
I
himself.
can't see how, you know, a doctor, you're trusting a doctor who's, this guy's about to go on tour.
Yeah.
You know, he's about to do a worldwide tour. So how does that work? I mean, the bottom line is that he's supposed to be helping him, not crippling him.
Absolutely.
Where, you know, we heard that his words were slurry. You know, the final few days before he actually passed away. And I mean, right now he's in the hot seat.
Absolutely,
You know.
absolutely. Well, the day that I heard that Michael died, about 2 years ago, I never met Michael. I didn't have a relationship like you had
Great guy,
with
yeah.
he and his family. But when I heard the news, I reacted the same way if I heard a best friend dying that day. You know, I cried, grieved for a little bit, and the relationship I had with Michael and his music, I think I grew up with him, and I think a lot of people could say the same. Every milestone that I had from the time I was a teenager to a very young lady, I could relate a Michael Jackson song to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I felt very close. I mean, I got quite emotional, and I got emotional for a few reasons. In my early days when we were DJing, obviously, the big thing was, I mean, if all the people who remember shows like Soul Train and American Bandstand and all these shows, watching Michael and the moves, I mean, you know, Motown and everything else, but I actually got to work on doing a remix for Michael, so it got a bit deeper for me, having met the family, and it was just a tough time for me. You know, it took me weeks to really sink in that he actually had gone.
Absolutely. Another great man died yesterday, 56 years
Yes.
old, Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs,
The
yes.
man behind the iPod, the iPhone, Mac.
Yes, and again on a lot of the U.S. networks last night. I don't know if you caught any of it, but he was just 24/7 over everything.
Absolutely.
What a genius this guy was.
He was a genius.
I mean, you think about it, from the iPad to Macs, which is in the recording studios today. You know, most of us use a Mac computer. Well, it falls back to this man. So, you know, he's going to be sadly missed.
Well, I think we're about ready to get started with
Let's do it.
the incredible lineup we have of guests. We've got Dr. Elaine Spencer, who's going to be talking about her play that's coming up, as well as Daniel Cohen, the market coordinator of the Arts Market.
Great.
And we have the co-founders, four lovely ladies, who are going to talk about their Gala for Ghana that's coming up, I believe, in 2 weeks, as well as an amazing performance by I. So you don't want to go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Stay tuned.
A stage play that everyone is talking about. Private Pain in Public Pews.
Welcome to the Parkinson Falls Ministry today. Today is our Leaders' Day, where we give God thanks for the angel over this house.
Dr. Elaine's gutsy new book has hit the theater platform again.
Will help you with your guilty sins.
What began as an inspirational book to unpack the shame, guilt, and pain experienced within the church pews is now a theatrical phenomenon. This hard-hitting play uses drama, comedy, and traditional hymns to speak to the issues we've heard about, but don't want to talk about.
Last 8 months. 8 months, yes. And it was a serious relationship, you know, until all right.
Dr. Elaine's bold theatrical production is gritty, inspirational, and celebrates the cherished community of the church that so many have come to love.
I'm gonna stay right on where the devil can't do me no more.
If you missed the groundbreaking premiere of this theatrical production, you don't want to miss the encore performance.
Do you know who I am? I am the bishop of this church. We love him. He's the holy.
One show, bigger venue, same compelling performances. You've been waiting for it, and you've been asking for it. Private Pain in Public Pews returns to the stage by popular demand. Real talk has begun.
Cute. What did you do? Now that is the question of the hour.
To purchase the book and for ticket info on the play, visit drelainespencer.com.
And we're back with Dr. Elaine Spencer, the playwright of Private Pain in Public Pews. Welcome to Live with Trevor Nikki.
Hi there.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So tell me, you are a professor of social work at York University.
Yes.
What made you put this play together?
You know, really, it's not even connected to my academic background, per se. I wrote the book Private Pain in Public Pews last November, we had a book launched. It was actually the process of writing the book, nothing to do with my academic studies, where I was inspired, grew up in the Black church, and I knew a lot of things that was happening, and I kind of connected with my counseling background to kind of, although I've written it in pages, actually bringing that visual representation to the community.
So what inspired you to do this, Doctor?
The book or the play?
Well, let's talk about the book for a minute.
You know, I had written a lot about in my academic life in terms of self-care, spirituality, and so forth. And I did my whole dissertation on faith communities in Canada and chronicling how immigrants from the Caribbean had come into Canada and how churches facilitate their settlement. And then after finishing my PhD, I was kind of observing something that was happening one evening at a church where someone was going through a lot.